Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be talking today about how to get your offer accepted in today's crazy real estate market. To get the most out of today's webinar, please take good notes and use that Q&A panel there to ask any questions you might have. We're going to take those all at the end, and we'll stick around after the hour to take questions and to coach a little bit. To reach us at any time after today's webinar, you can reach us on all social media channels at Darryl Speaks. Darryl is the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is one of the best-selling books to real estate professionals on Amazon. Darryl's also was named one of the top real estate newsmakers in 2021 by Risk Media Magazine in the Big-Hearted and Brave category. I think they made that just for you. I love that category.
I think they did.
Darryl's also the recipient of the coveted CSP designation, which is only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide by the National Speakers Association. On that note, coach with the most, Darryl Davis, take it away.
Thank you, Julie. So listen, I see Elda, you can't see, but Elda just wrote a question, and I just want people to know, if you have, the reason why you can't see it is because we're holding it. If any of you have a question about today's topic from this point forward, if you write it there, Sarah's going to not post it because we're going to read those questions at the end. So Elda, you are the first question that will get asked. So just wanted you to know that we have it. Okay. With that said, I do have some other logistic things to go over with y'all. So give me a couple of minutes to do that. For any of you that this is your first time coming to these webinars, is a sales pitch? The answer is absolutely not. I know a lot of free webinars or companies out there that's what it feels like. But what this is part of a weekly training program that we put together for our power agents last year during the pandemic. We used to do a monthly, and then we went to weekly because, again, the pandemic. So there are a certain number of you folks that are on this call that are obviously power agents, and then there's some of you that are guests. And so I just want the guests to know we welcome you. We're glad you're here. This is for our power agents. So from time to time, I'll be talking to them like a sidebar conversation, pointing something out to them. But all the guests, you're going to get a tremendous amount of value because we're not holding back anything. Okay, so this is our unrestricted training session. Now, for those of you, just to answer the question, what is a power agent? Let me just cover that real quick with this one slide, which is it's our monthly membership that we locked in the lower price at $47 for folks that joined during this time. But anybody who's a guest can actually get full-fledged access for 30 days for only $5. Complete access, as I said, you get bonuses today, which I'm going to cover at the end. So make sure you stay for that, and you can cancel anytime. So it's a really great program, great value for you guys. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you right now. Sorry, my Apple Watch just started talking to me, so let me just turn that off. It's like I couldn't understand what you said. Well, I'm not teaching you right now, so you don't need to know. Anyway, for those of you that decide to sign up, part of the bonus is we have this Empower Agents. We have this for you, which is an e-guide that you can customize, and you put your contact information in it. This is a really powerful tool that you give to a buyer or to a seller when there's a multiple offer situation, or when you think there's going to be a multiple offer situation. Prepares people. That's part of the frustration, especially on the buyer side. They get frustrated with keep making these offers and losing out. So this really helps with that. The other thing that we created, Power Agents, for you guys is a multiple offer spreadsheet. It's an Excel file that you can use for a homeowner when it's your listing and you want to show them, and you go in and you cover things like comparing items like the escalation clause, seller's concession, the down payment, the closing date, et cetera, et cetera. So I will tell you, Power Agents, let me go back to the screen for a second. This is a great spreadsheet, by the way, to actually use on listing appointments as well. So I'm going to encourage Power Agents that you actually print this out, put it into your listing appointment, and you show homeowners that are FSBOs or you're trying to get them to list. You're saying this is how you manage your offers, which is really cool because the homeowner's like, oh, wow, we're going to get multiple offers and this is what you're doing. So it's a really great selling technique for on a listing appointment. All right, so let's get into this topic now. Gang, some of these webinars that I do each week, some of them we go wide where I'll cover a lot of different things. But today's webinar, we're actually going very deep. So we're not talking about listing presentations or prospecting. Today is just about the offer and how to get your offer accepted, especially in a win-win thing. Now, just one more thing to the power agents. I do want to bring you up to speed because this is about writing the offers, right? So when you guys go to the classroom on the Power Program website, there are all the topics on real estate buyers, negotiating, etc. And when you go to the negotiating offer tab, everything, gang, that I'm teaching you today is in that section. And there's actually more. The other thing is, a while back, I did a webinar on buyers. If you go to the webinars on demand topic, you will see that there's a webinar that we did, which was playing with buyers. And that webinar talks about how to get the buyer ready to write the offer, right? So this is when you take them out and you're showing them property, getting them motivated, the 6-step buying process when you're working with a buyer, how to get the buyer agency agreement, because we need buyers to be committed to you and to be loyal to you. And once you go through that whole process and they're ready to write an offer, that's step 5 in the 6-step buying process. So what we're covering right now in this webinar is that step 5, how to write those offers and get them accepted. So the first thing is I'm going to cover concepts on negotiating offers. And the first concept I want to share with you is selling a house is a two-way negotiation, meaning, gang, it's between the buyer and the seller, not you. Sometimes somebody wants to always drag you into the negotiations. The buyer wants to drag you in and say, listen, can you cut your fee, or how much money do you want to make? Or when you're on the listing side and you sell the house after 24 hours, the homeowner's like, geez, I don't want to pay you what we agreed to. You only had it 24 hours. So they sometimes want to bring you in, and you've got to remember that you are a facilitator. Your job is to bring buyers and sellers together. And I'll share it with you later when I give you techniques how to handle that when they want you to cut the commission, for example. But right now, I'm just teaching concepts. So that's the first concept. Second concept, you want to use the commitment of the buyer and the seller to move the transaction forward. You know, power agents, I have coaching calls every Monday with power agents. There are live coaching calls. And it's not uncommon where a power agent will ask, Darryl, I've got this buyer, they're putting in lowball offers. And, you know, of course, in my market, things are selling over asking price. What should I do? The answer always is get rid of the buyer. Because obviously, if you're in a market where properties are, the asking price is no longer the asking price. Watch this. The list price is actually the starting price. And if you've got a buyer who keeps putting in low offers, what does that tell you? That they're really not committed to buying a house. They're committed to maybe stealing a house. They're committed to getting a good deal, but they're not really committed to buying a home, which is different. So you want to make sure that you're not more committed than the buyer or the seller is. So sometimes we have a seller, you bring them an offer, it's above their asking price and they still don't want to accept it because now they want to raise the price. So my point here, gang, on this concept is make sure that you are not more committed than the buyer or the seller is in making this deal happen. The third thing is do your best to present your own offer to the seller with the listing agent. Now, for some of you, when you came in, like at the beginning of this webinar, we were talking to people before we got started. And what we said is, this is one of those webinars that you need to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable, because I'm going to teach you certain things that may make you uncomfortable. But if you'll embrace it or do it, you're actually going to succeed tremendously. This is one of them. There's two things that I teach today that agents, some get wackadoo about. They have a real struggle with it. This happens to be one of them. And just please trust me. Anything that I tell you to do, I didn't just make it up. I've been training agents for over 30 years. And when I tell you something emphatically works, you got to know I have evidence and I can spend time sharing your testimony. This is one of those items. Now, I know this is uncommon, especially in a multiple offer situation where the listing agent is not going to let you. Well, I'm going to cover that. But like I said, if you look at number 3, it says do your best to present your offer when you're on the selling side directly to the homeowner with the listing agent. Now, let me tell you the value in having this happen, especially a multiple offer situation. Number 1 is everything is transparent. You see, that homeowner, I'm going to tell you one thing, by the way, that's not in the bullets here because it just fell in my heart. I want to say it really quick. In this crazy market that we're having, is sometimes what's getting lost is the human aspect of what we do in listing and selling real estate. Is we're helping families get to their next level in their life. So when you have a homeowner who has got these multiple offers, it's easy for greed to kick in because it's all about the money. And part of what we can do here in this process is to humanize the buyer, that they're not just a number on a spreadsheet. But going back to this transparent thing, if I'm an agent who's working with these buyers, and I've been working with these buyers for however long I have been, I know things about these buyers that may be pertinent that the listing agent, the homeowners wouldn't know, and they wouldn't know to ask. So by talking to the horse's mouth, me as the selling agent, that homeowner can get all of their questions answered, and also the listing agent. Second thing is you're representing the buyer well. The best way for you when you are on the selling side of a transaction is representing. Nobody can present your buyer's package better than you. And that's important. So you're actually working in your best interest of your buyers when you're doing this. It's better for the seller, as I started to say, that if the seller or the listing agent has any questions, they can ask directly from the horse's mouth, which is the selling agent, being you in this example. Here's the other thing, the transaction can move quickly and smoothly when everybody is working together and being transparent. There is no real negative. Any minor negativity is outweighed by all the positivity. If I was a listing agent and I had multiple offers, I would have no problem. I'd encourage the selling agent to come present their offer to my seller. Now, when it comes to this, you've got to gauge yourself as to how uncomfortable or how strong you want to be on this particular topic. First of all, and by the way, let me just back up for a second. Let me just say this real quick, and I'm going to go just right to camera for this. Some of you, when you are on the selling side and you write an offer and you give it to the listing agent, come on now, you've had this happen. You don't know what's going on with your offer. You don't know if I'm sorry to say this, but we know this to be true in some markets. We don't know if the listing agent's actually presenting the offer, if they're presenting the offer in a timely fashion, if they're using the offer and the information we gave them to maybe take an advantage in-house with another buyer, with another agent in the office. When we, as the selling side, right, take an offer and we give it to a listing agent, I do not have to tell you how that is such a detriment to you as the selling agent and to your buyers. And I just want you all to be clear about something. I'm a listing agent type of guy. I teach our power agents how to build listing inventory. I'm committed to listings. That's who I am. So it's in my blood to be a listing agent. And as a listing agent, I would let the selling agent present their offer. Now, you've got to determine, I'm going to show you how the listing agent would have to let you in to present your own offer. I'm going to show you that in a second. But you've got to determine how aggressive you want to be with what I'm going to give you. See, for some of you, you won't, like this part of the webinar right now, you're not even going to ask the listing agent. You're like, I don't agree with Darryl on this part. So far, that's one thing I'm not going to do. Some of you will just ask nicely. We have Charles Mayo, one of our power agents in Long Island, New York, Douglas Elliman. He says, Darryl, I always ask because sometimes the listing agent will let me present it. And if they don't, I don't push it. But I just at least ask. Some of you are going to ask with conviction to make it happen. Like I'm going to ask and I'm going to really push. I'm going to go the distance a little bit with that listing agent. Some of you won't take no for an answer. And some of you will start making calls and stir stuff up, meaning if the listing agent doesn't let you, you're going to create some headaches for people. Now that's where I happen to be on the gauge, is the most extreme. But you don't have to be like me. I'm going to show you in a minute how to do that. First of all, your MLS probably states that the selling agent has the right to present the offer. So number one, you may want to check your MLS. Your MLS probably states that you have the right to present that offer. This is the MLS rules for my MLS. It says the sales associate is not required to disclose the name of the purchaser nor any of the terms of the offer prior to the actual presentation. So when the listing agent, if they were to ask me, well, what's your terms? What's your offer? Who's your buyer? Blah, blah, blah. According to our MLS, I don't have to tell the listing agent until it's presented. And it's going to be presented in person. I'll show you the next part. Here's the same MLS rules. The cooperating broker has the right to participate in the presentation to the seller. Done. Now, but Darryl, my sellers signed something saying that they don't want to have offers presented by the selling, only go through the listing agent, blah, 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 blah. Even if a homeowner wrote that when you took the listing, here's what these MLS rules say. However, the seller gives written instructions to the listing broker that the cooperating broker not be present when an offer of the cooperating broker securities is presented. Cooperating broker has the right to get a copy of the seller with written instructions within 2 hours of requesting it. So let me just break that down for you. It is not a blanket letter. So if I have an offer and I call the listing agent and the listing agent says the homeowner doesn't want to hear the offer from you, you have to give it to me. Then according to these MLS rules, the homeowner must write a letter specific to me saying, I, Hana, the homeowner, know that Darryl Davis has an offer and I'm choosing not to hear his offer from his buyer. And that letter's got to be given in 2 hours. There's no blanket. I don't want to hear any offers unless it's through my listing agent. It has to be specific to me. That's my MLS. Your MLS may be a little bit different. Here's another. I'm sorry. Let me go back to that. It'll form to be submitted by the homeowner acknowledged. Okay, here's the other thing our MLS says is that if you don't present your own offer, if you give it to the listing agent has to send you a form saying that I did present the offer to the homeowner and yada, yada. So that's another part of the MLS rules. So I guess part of what I'm saying, gang, when it comes to presenting offers in your MLS, you should be really clear about what the rules are in your MLS. There's a good chance, and I know a lot of the MLSs throughout the country, they do have very similar wording like I just shared with you for mine. Here's how you can almost, now what I'm about to show you actually supersedes everything. This is now state law in your state. It says this offer is contingent on blank presenting this agreement directly to the seller. So what I could do is when I write the offer with my buyers, I could add on the offer saying that this offer is contingent to Darryl Davis presenting the offer directly to the homeowner. Now, when I call the listing agent, I tell the listing agent, listen, I know this is not how we normally do it. Usually I'll fax it to you or I'll tell you the number over the phone, but these particular buyers, they want me to present the offer to the homeowner with you. We're not presenting offers without listing agents. We're doing it together, but I'm going to present it face-to-face to the homeowner. It is written in the contract that it's contingent that I do that. Now, once that happens, it doesn't matter what the MLS rules are because that now deals, there's some confusion that agents always have in our industry. They confuse license law with MLS rules or NAR guidelines and code of ethics. NAR's rules and regs, including the code of ethics, is not license law. That's an association thing, your local and national, blah, blah. When it comes to license law, in this example, the listing agent cannot not let me present my own offer. This, the agent has to, otherwise they could lose their license. It could get suspended. If the listing agent insists on not letting you present, then get the statement from the letter like we showed just a moment ago, the MLS. Now, by the way, gang, I just want to reiterate something of what I said. I know for some of you, you are getting super uncomfortable right now because you're like, oh my gosh, because you could just imagine how a listing agent may push back on this, especially with all these multiple offers. That's why I did that gauge for you. You have to decide how strong do you want to get with this. If you are as strong as I would be, you will get your offer presented with the listing agent, and it will increase your odds, and you will get your offers accepted. If you don't want to get uncomfortable, then just do it the way you've been doing it and know how that works. Now, I'll still try and help you to get better results, some other softer ways, and we'll get to that next. Make sure that your determination, how strong you are, based on the agent. So as I said, you want to determine how strong you want to be, not just for yourself, but the other listing agent, who that is. One of the things I do suggest, if you are going to push this in presenting your own offer, is that you say to the agent when you call them and say, hey, John, or let's say I'm talking to Mary, and I say, Mary, I know this is unusual. This is not how we do it. I know you've got multiple offers, but the buyers want me to present the offer directly to the homeowners as part of it's actually contingent on me presenting it. So I like to do that. And Mary's like, Darryl, that's not how we do it. I have multiple offers, so I don't have to do that. You kind of do. Yeah, but I have something in writing from the seller. I said, yeah, but that's MLS rules. This is now state law. I mean, legally, this is a legal thing now. It doesn't matter what the homeowner wrote before I wrote this. This is what it is now. I don't want you to get in trouble. Well, here, Mary, why don't we do this? I know you probably want to represent your seller. You don't want to get surprised by what the offer is. So why don't you, when I do this, set up the time for us to meet, to go present it to the homeowner, and let's you and I meet like 10 minutes before in front of the house. I'll jump into your car. I'll go over the offer, show you everything, so that way you're not blindsided when we walk in. We can walk in together. Listen, Mary, if this was not a good offer, I wouldn't even be doing this. I just tell you what it is, but I think we can make this thing happen. So that's how you can do it. You can do it nicely with Mary, all right? The other thing is you need to reciprocate when you're on the listing side. So if you're a listing agent, you need to do the same thing. If you are going to push to get your offer presented in person, when you are the listing agent, you got to do the same thing for other agents. Miscellaneous tips. One of the things you get now. So there's that. Okay. So you decide if you want to push that issue to present your own offers. So now let's everybody take a deep breath. Let me share some other ideas with you, because these ideas apply across the board. So for example, whether you're presenting the offer yourself or not, you could have the loan officer of your buyer call the listing agent and have the loan officer say, listen, I know Mary Joe is going to be presenting an offer for their buyers, John and Mary Smith. I want you to know I pre-qualified these people. They are golden and blah, blah, blah. So, and they can maybe even share, Julie, what's that desk? What's the abbreviation for the desk qualification? Do you remember what that was?
Oh, that Andrew said?
Yeah, that Andrew said.
No.
I forgot what the term is, gang, if Julie remembers what it is, but there is a desktop something software that loan officers use where you punch it, it gives a report on a buyer, and the loan officer can share that if the buyer gives permission to do that. So whatever that desktop underwriting, that's it, DU. There you go. I see it. Thank you, guys. Yeah, desktop underwriting. That's a report. Have that loan officer share that with the listing agent, getting permission from the buyers. Call the listing agent prior to writing the offer. Bill report that. So here's something else you can do. So if you don't want to push, you present your own offer, which I really recommend that you do. But if you don't want to, what you can do is really just build rapport with that listing agent. Really, like, not just call the listing agent, say how much does a homeowner want to net, and what's the. Don't give the listing agent a headache like that. So tell me about the seller, what they want, so I can write the best offer. That's fine, but the better thing to do is really build a relationship with that listing agent as if they were the homeowner. Tell them that these buyers really want this house and why. Like, try and sell the buyer to the listing agent. Because think about it, that listing agent is going to go in there with 10 offers, and you're one of the 10. The more connected that listing agent is to your buyers, who they are, how long they've been looking, the nice couple that they are, that's going to help. That's going to help because you humanize your buyers. And of course, finding out what's important to the seller so you can customize that offer. Keep in mind, you may be working with this agent again in the future. So, like I said, I am a big fan. I would push, present my own offer. But that's because listen, when I was an agent, I had a reputation. My reputation was, don't mess with Darryl, but if he's ever on the listing side, he'll put your deal through if it's a good deal. So I had a good reputation where I was fair and I committed to making deals happen. So make sure you just keep that in mind that you may be working with that agent again. Also, if it's a top, I will tell you this: if you've got a top agent that you kind of trust, like I think of several power agents that are top agents that, you know what, I would just give them my offer. I would trust that they're going to do their job. They're going to do it well. There's some agents, I don't know, like this one. I also buy investment property. We call one of these agents, and unfortunately, it's somebody who attended one of our sessions, and their listing agent still, that was 2 weeks ago. They still haven't called us back. Me, the other agent, they're not hard. Some agents are just bad, man, unfortunately. So if you know you've got one of those types of agents, then here's what I would do. I would present my own offer. I would call the broker. I would really get aggressive. Don't just sell the price and the terms. Validate the whole entire team. When you're talking to, whether it's the homeowner, you're talking to the listing agent. Listen, this loan officer is awesome. Here's why. Why? The appraiser, here's what they're going to do when it comes to appraisal. We have a little control over that. But I've got these comps. I'm going to make sure the home inspector, this is the type of inspector. They don't kill deals. They keep deals together. So in other words, validate the entire team that you're working with to make sure this deal goes from contract to closing. And that's part of what we have to focus on, contract to closing. Now, this is a side tip, gang. This is really not about negotiating offers, but just a little side thing. When you're working with your buyers, is don't just show them what's currently available. Show them houses that are currently pending or that are expired or off the market. Like in this inventory thin market, you've got to expand your market of potential listings. So I think you should consider showing off the market houses, pending, expired. So that's really a negotiating tip. It's just an extra tip. One of the things you can do too is, when I was an agent, my broker, my mentor, his name is Mac Levitt. And Mac was just great, man. And sometimes Mac would call, if let's say somebody in the office had an offer, Mac might call the listing agent and say, "Hey, John, this is Mac Levitt." "Oh, hey, Mac," because he's the broker and he had a reputation. He was respected. Getting a call from the broker to prep the offer is a powerful tool. Now, if most agents don't like your broker, don't have them call. Don't even tell them you have an offer. Okay. Search Facebook. Listen, you'll be surprised. We've had this happen where we've had students who the buyers somehow knew a friend of the homeowner, and there was a relative that knew that person. So sometimes that 6 degrees of separation is interesting. And sometimes your buyer may know that seller through one of your mutual friends. I said this at the beginning of this webinar, these concepts. And as remember, this is about making a difference in people's lives, not just the money they spend or receive. I need you to keep this in mind, gang. In multiple offer world that we're in right now, we're about putting deals together, homeowners. Don't forget, when you're representing a buyer, fight for your buyer. And when you're the listing agent, fight for your homeowner too. But don't forget, we're also trying to put families together. That's what we're matchmakers. That's our job as agents. We're matchmakers, bringing buyers and sellers together. Now let's talk about writing the offer. So when you're sitting down with the buyers, I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Because this is and I'm going to assume you're sitting face to face in person. Isn't it wonderful how we're doing better in this country with this pandemic? It's getting exciting. Starting to get back to normal. Anyway, so assuming you're sitting face to face, you stand in the commitment of these buyers owning this house, meaning you want to confirm the monthly payments at full price. This is not the type of market where we're going to try and, let's see what we should offer. No, assumptive. Here's the price, here's the taxes, here's the monthly payment. That works for you, right? Good. Next, let me just get some information. This is the best. By the way, what I'm showing you is like a great technique on a listing appointment, because if you're going to fill it out, the paperwork, and how do you start writing? You just take the things. So the monthly payments are going to be that works for us, right? All right, good. Let me get some information. By the way, what's today's date? Today is the May 25th. Oh, okay. Now I start writing. So when they answer that question, I start writing on the form. It's a smooth little. It's good. It works really good, especially on a listing appointment. Keep them involved. Don't have there be silence. When there's silence, people are thinking. And when people are thinking, they're in their head. And then that's when objections happen. So start talking to them about stuff, whatever, as you're filling out the paperwork. Give them something to fill out and read, or blah, blah, blah. You hand them the pen. You direct the signature. You ask the spouse a question. And number 5, by the way, here comes the second thing that people get a little twisted about. But I am telling you, if you listen to me, you will get your offers accepted, especially a multiple offers. Number 1 was present your own offer, write it in the contract, subject to you, blah, blah, blah. The second thing is have the buyers write a love letter or a video. They can do a video and include info in the MLS description. I think that have the buyers write a love letter, video. When the buyers are writing their love letter, look at the MLS description. Like if, let's say, the MLS description said, homeowner just did major renovation of the kitchen, right? Well, obviously that was important, not just to the agent, but to the homeowner, because that's why the listing agent wrote it, because when we write MLS descriptions, we know we're also writing it for the audience who is the homeowner, right? So obviously if the homeowner did this wonderful artistic thing in the kitchen and it's important and it's in the description, have the buyer write that in the letter saying, I just love how you did the hana when you did the renovations. Now, but Darryl, I thought you can't write a love letter because it's a violation against the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Okay, let me come back to that. Let me first do a disclaimer. My disclaimer, because I always do a disclaimer because I learned this Latin phrase a long time ago, anus protectus. It's Latin. And here's my disclaimer, is that I am not giving you legal advice. That's my disclaimer. But with that said, let me share a couple of things with you. First of all, you need to do what your broker says to do, okay? So that's number 1. Number 2 is, I said this earlier and I'll say it again. This is where we get confused. Our association does not regulate our license. The Department of State does. So it kind of goes like this. It goes God, your broker, then maybe your association, and then what I'm telling you. So it goes in that order. I'm not an attorney. I already said that. The number of lawsuits. Now, listen, let me just tell you something. So you know how we have MLS? Attorneys have a similar thing. It's called Westlaw. So Westlaw is the MLS for attorneys. So if an attorney wants to search for a court case in reference to something, like in this case, fair housing, lawsuit, love letter, they could search all legal cases that are open or closed with judgments and da-da-da-da. And I had my attorney. Now, it cost me money to do this, but I needed to have confidence in what I was saying. And from 1968 to today's present date, the number of lawsuits related to this love letter and against the fair housing is 0. This has been a played up, I want to say fake news situation. Like, here's the NAR. I love NAR. I love everybody there. Great staff. This is October about the love letter. Here's what it says. It could open real estate professionals and their clients to fair housing violations. It could. There has not been one single fair housing violation because of the love letter. Not one. NAR said could happen. And there's been a lot of to do about nothing when it comes to this love letter. And classes are being taught about, here's how you should write the love letter and you shouldn't include these things. And I'll give you that information if you want to be conservative. But let me show you my students. Here's a power agent, Deneen. She said, I'm sharing this post I read on Facebook. It was so touching, but okay, I'm emotional. So let me just jump to this paragraph. I have these buyers, younger couple, 3 boys. One was recently diagnosed with autism, so they needed to be in a school district that would fit their needs well. And only one around had a phenomenal program. The market we are in is insane. Highest and best almost gets it. So when I submitted their first offer, this was literally the first house they submitted an offer on, I almost thought for sure we wouldn't get it because it was low and our earnest was low. I got a call. Their offer was accepted almost within 20 minutes of the review because the sellers read the letter. They had a nonverbal special needs daughter that received so much help from their school that now she speaks. They said the money doesn't matter because someone might get the help that they need. I broke down because just amazing. So listen, if you were to talk to some of the educators that we might have in our association that says you shouldn't write the love letters because it's against the fair housing, they would say you certainly could not write a letter saying that your child has special needs because you're not supposed to talk about family and child. And it kind of upsets me because all of that is made up and it doesn't apply because there's been 0 cases. And I can even tell you why there's 0 cases, but I'm not going to waste our time doing that. The reason why I think this is so important is because this helps humanize the buyer is this letter. Here is Mansion Global. They said, recently a seller chose my client's offer, which was $50,000 less than a competing offer just because he was so moved by the couple's story. The seller had raised their family in the house and fell in love with the buyer's letter and the idea of them living. I'm telling you, gang, any of my students, any power agents that reads the letter to a seller, it increases the odds of getting their offer accepted. I'm going to show you some real letters. Dear Mr. and Mrs. D. Ware, as I present this offer, we'd like to thank you for considering us as buyers for your home. We have looked at many houses, but none of them had the same feelings yours had. Along with meeting our needs as a large family, your home is filled with the love of 27 years. We all had the sensation that we were being hugged when we walked in. The children, who obviously don't understand the process of negotiations, have all chosen their bedrooms already. We have, of course, told our friends and family about your home, and they're keeping all of us in their prayers. For this reason, we feel confident that we can reach an agreement that everyone is comfortable with, no matter what the outcome is. We're grateful to have been considered to possibly be the next family to be raised in the warmth of your home, the Robinson family. This humanizes the buyer. Any of my students that presents their own offers and reads the letter first before they present their offers, their odds have gone up considerably, in a lot of cases, getting their offer accepted in multiple offer situations. Now, here's an actual, now this goes back a few years. This was at asking price $215 on a house. The listing agent told the selling agent, you better make sure your offer is at least $210. Now, this is not recent because the market is crazy right now. The homeowner already rejected $210. Don't present anything less than $210. This is what the listing agent said to the selling agent. Here's the letter. Dear Mrs. O'Keefe, this is the actual letter. The children, I visited your house yesterday. We were impressed with your home. I'm a recent widow and wanted a home that the children and I would love and make our transition to New York an easier process. I hope we'll be able to negotiate this sale so we can be settled as soon as possible. Maureen Sweeney. Check this out. The homeowner accepted the offer of $198,000. Now, again, if you talk to any of these fair housing experts who really don't know what they're talking about, they would say there's so much in this letter that says you cannot do it because you could be so, because it's fair housing, but it's not a fair housing. There's never been a lawsuit. It's totally made up, and people should stop teaching it because they're wrong. Now, if you disagree with me, if you disagree with my attorney's research on this, and you want to play it safe, okay, then here's how you can write a love letter and play it safe. You have to make sure that the letter that the buyers write does not reference any of these items: race, religion, national origin, sex, family status, disability. In addition, that's the national fair housing. In addition, every state has individual rules that may add on to that. So, for example, in New York, what also would be a fair housing violation is when you discriminate based on age, marital status, sexual orientation, and even gender identity. If you discriminate against those things, that's another reason why the love letter is not an issue, because people aren't discriminating against. Okay, so anyway, if you want to play it safe, tell your buyers not to include any of that stuff. And honestly, if they did that, there's no point to the letter. Okay, let's talk about contract terms. Here's how you can get your offers accepted: is get a large deposit to strengthen your offer. There's a larger deposit, the better the offer is, the more stronger it is. Make sure you add that this offer expires at a certain date. And the reason why is some of your MLSs, you already have that as a standard thing, or not MLSs, in your state where the contract has an expiration date with the offer. But not all states have that. So those of you that don't have that state, you want to put an expiration time of the offer. The reason why is to create a little sense of urgency, the listing agent. I don't have to tell you guys, you write an offer, and if that offer doesn't get presented before the buyers go to sleep that night, the anxiety level gets so great, they call you the next morning and they say, you know what, we changed our mind. I guess it wasn't meant to be, and the buyer walks. Why? Because the anxiety was too great. It's really crucial. It's like an emergency. Like if you're a doctor working in an emergency room, you're on call. And a listing agent should be the same way. When an offer comes in, unless it's been advertised on the MLS that all offers are going to be opened at a certain date and time, unless that's the case where it's presented in advance before buyers look at it so they know what they're walking into, the moment a buyer writes a letter, it really should get presented that day. That day. That's how I think. Code of Ethics actually says it too. Realtors shall submit offers and counteroffers objectively and as quickly as possible. The reason why is it hurts the seller and it hurts the buyers for any agent to sit on an offer. It's not what we do as realtors. Remove the contingency to sell their house. If a buyer has a house to sell, remove that contingency to make the offer stronger. Add that the purchaser agrees to list their home. Now, if you've got a situation where the buyer has a house to sell, you could add in the offer that the buyers are going to list their house with you. And you tell that to the buyer when you're filling out the offer. And the reason why we're going to do that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is because the listing agent is going to have some concern that you do have a house to sell. I'm going to let them know you're listing with me, so I'm going to manage both sides of the transaction. That'll make the listing agent feel more comfortable. Now, if the buyers don't agree to that, then you got to have a conversation. Well, why wouldn't you list your house for me if you're buying from me? And then that turns into something else, which we're not going to talk about right now. But if you have a buyer who has a house to sell, you can turn that into an actual pre-listing agreement. Now, if you're going to have the engineer inspection, which, by the way, there's a lot of people that are just not doing the engineer inspection as well in this crazy market. That could be an option too. But if you are going to have the engineer inspection, here's what I want you to do is define that the buyer's just looking for major defects. And you define a major defect as where any one item costs more than $1,000 to fix. The roof, the boiler, crack in the foundation. But you would say to a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, like I saw that the screen door was broken. They're not going to ask you to fix that like some of these iBuyers do. I saw that there was a little stain in the ceiling. They're not worried about that. Even the pipe they're looking for major stuff that costs more than $1,000 to fix. That really helps in that engineer clause. Consider making the offer amount a quirky number. It'll stick in people's minds. Instead of offering 500, you offer 501, 500, 501,500, for example. There's some other examples. If the buyer will cover seller's legal fees, all right, if they're going to do that, say up to $1,905. It actually sounds better than $1,850. It's only $55 difference, but that $1,905 sounds better. So making quirky numbers sometimes works really well. Pay seller, there's psychology behind it. Pay seller if the mortgage approval is denied. That's one of the options that a buyer can do to increase the value of their offer. Saying, listen, we're so sure that the buyers are going to get this mortgage that if they don't, the homeowner will pay the homeowner $5,000 and they can keep my deposit or something like that. Add the escalation clause, which you all know what that is. Adding that, make sure the seller stays in the house an additional 36 days. You can do that. Now, I will tell you, I'm backpedaling on this a little bit because of the eviction moratorium, since we wrote that, they actually have found that some sellers have closed on a house and didn't move out, and they can't get evicted out, which is not a common thing, but it has happened. So if I were a buyer's agent, I would want the homeowner out before we actually close. And if I needed to, I'd be willing to pay the homeowner, here's some money for you guys to move out before the closing, like a few days before, so that way you can, make payments or rent or whatever. Add the buyer will make 2 mortgage applications. This is huge. One to the lender, one to the listing agent. So if I'm a listing agent and you're the selling agent and I don't know your loan officer, even if the loan officer calls me, that's good. There's a pre-commitment letter, that's good. The desktop underwriting, that's better. But if you tell me, but Darryl, here's what I'm going to do. The buyers will make 2 applications, not just with this one, but anybody you want. So, and whoever gets the mortgage, that's the one they're going to go with, right? Well, as a listing agent, I'm like, wow, that's a big deal, because I know some loan officers. If I give them that loan, that's good for me, good for our relationship. But I also know my loan officer will make sure the deal closed. That gives me more confidence as a listing agent. Is that going to cost the buyer double applications, double credit check, all that? Yes, it is. But hey, this is the market that we're in. Submit all the paperwork they offer, employment verification, FICO report, the desktop underwriting, pre-qual, all that stuff. Like, not just present the offer, but present all the other paperwork to that listing agent. Boy, that's going to be very impressive. All right, preparing to present the offer, and then I'm going to show you how to present your own offer. That's where we're going to end up with. So before you finish with your buyers, address potential remorse, buyer remorse. So we know that there's a lot going on in this market when it comes to buyer remorse. I told you guys about the e-guide. Power agents, one of the things I'm going to tell you, when you go to the classroom and you go to the buyers tab, there's a lot of great stuff in the buyer tab. That e-guide on negotiating offers is in there, but there's also this, the loanopoly. And what this basically will show a buyer, there's a whole process in buying a house. It's not just looking at a house and putting the offer in, but we've got a whole process. So you've got to stay patient on this. And I would tell the buyers, here, we're right now, we're in the first blue square of the Monopoly board, right, where we're making the offer. The next part we're going to have to do, if it gets accepted, we're going to go to the application process. But we'll just stay focused on where we are right now. Here's something else, power agents, I recommend that you give to your buyers. Is it turns out that there was a study done by Duke University, American Psychology Associate, Fannie Mae, and what they discovered is that buyers, children who live in a home that's owned versus a home that is rented, they actually have less behavioral problem, better English grades, math grades, more likely to go to college, get better jobs, etc. It was an incredible study. We created a flyer for you guys to give to buyers that are renting and have children. And the reason why this is very powerful is because in a negotiation, if it gets emotional and people want to bounce, and they're like, you know what, this is too much, forget it, we'll wait till the market changes, yada, yada. You remind them, listen, you're doing this not just for you, but for your children. It's really important that you get into a home that you own because it's better for your child. You can also give your buyers a checklist to prepare for the mortgage application. This will give them some busy work to do while you're trying to put this deal together. Every time they write an offer and you're trying to negotiate that, tell them, listen, start getting your paperwork ready for the loan, okay? The other thing, power agents, if you go to that negotiating tab, there is that e-guide thing that we talked about at the beginning. Give this e-guide, you can put your contact information, customize, you can even edit it. So this is another great report. You print it out in color, give it to your buyers. This will help with that remorse. So before you finish with the buyers, address those potential buyer remorse concerns, the loanopoly, give them the multiple offer guide. Call the listing agent to set up a face-to-face conversation to present the offer. If you're going to do that, ask the listing agent, when you call the listing agent, try and get some information about the sellers, their commitment, their time frame, so that way you can customize that offer even better. Now, let's talk about presenting the offer, and then we're going to get to questions in a minute. So, power agents... everybody, there's an 8-step process. Let me go back. So what I'm about to show you is one of the reasons why you can get your offer accepted, especially in multiple offers, because again, if you just take an offer and you just give it to the listing agent, you don't know what they're doing. But power agents, when they present their own offer, here's the process and how you do it. There's basically, by the way, I'm going to teach you something extra right now. I don't have time, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's 3 dance routines or pre-planned conversations that you should have. 3 pre-planned conversations. All right, jot it down. Number 1 is a listing appointment. When you have a listing appointment with a seller, you don't wing it. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. That's number 1. You've got to master that. When you master the listing appointment, you get more listings. Okay, knowing what the seller is going to object to and blah, blah, blah. It's like my son. He used to, when he was younger, he used to play Xbox. He was great at the Xbox games. You want to know why? Because he always knew when the guy around the corner was there. Before the guy came out, he always knew at this part of the game, a guy was around the corner, he was going to jump out, and he was prepared. When you're on a listing appointment, the guy around the corner is the objections that homeowners give. I have a friend in the business. The other broker said they'll do it for less commission, yada, yada. So you should not be surprised by anything on a listing appointment. Beginning, middle, and end, you're prepared. The second presentation that you need to have is when you meet a buyer for the first time. Every buyer should be signing a buyer's agency agreement with you before you show them any property. If you're not, you're wasting your time. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end to that conversation to get the buyer to hire you as their agent. The third presentation is this right here, presenting your own offers. So let me show you what that is. And I'm going to go through these steps. Now, power agents, this is in the negotiating tab. The first thing is you want to acknowledge that listing agent in front of the sellers, assuming you're not the listing agent. I would start on now, Mr. and Ms. Hunt, before we get started, I just want to tell you, your agent, Mary, that you hired, is one of the best agents in the marketplace. She is so well respected. You did a great job in hiring her. Of all the agents you picked, this is one of the best you could have picked. And Mary, I just want to say to you, it's a joy to work with you. You have such integrity, and I really love working with you. Now, imagine you starting the conversation off like that. That listing agent is going to be with you. They're not going to push and fight you. They're going to represent their seller, but now you just won them over. Second thing is you explain your job to the homeowner. You're going to explain how you basically manage the buyer side of this, and your commitment is to help the homeowner and the buyer too. In other words, you want to tell the homeowner, listen, I know that I'm here representing the buyer, but my job is not to talk you down or have you do anything you don't want to do. I like to look at myself as the person who's managing the buyer side, and Mary's managing your side of the transaction. But Mary and I both have the same commitment, which is to help you get your house sold and get you moved to wherever you want to get to, and help the buyers get into this. As a matter of fact, Mary and I, as realtors, we both have subscribed to the code of ethics, which says regardless of who we're representing, our job is to act with integrity and to be honest and to be fair and not take advantage of anybody. So I just want to say that right up front, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana. Okay? The next thing is you're going to just talk about the seller's commitment. By the way, if I could just ask you, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, where were you folks planning on moving to? When do you need to get there by? If possible, you use the words just in the nick of time. So if they say, well, Darryl, we want to go down to Florida. We like to be down there before the school season starts. Blah, blah, blah. Well, geez, I'm glad that we have this off. I'm glad you hired Mary. I feel like we're just making it in the nick of time. It's perfect timing. And then you're going to humanize that buyer. I'd say, so Mary, John, let me tell you about these buyers before I get into their offer, because I want you to know they're very excited. They've been looking for a long time. They just got married a year ago. They've got a baby on the way. They want to be in this school district. You know, they've been looking at a whole bunch of houses out there. I know it's a hot market, but there's still, look, let me show you something. This is all the houses that are currently for sale on the market. So even though there's not a lot of inventory, there's still enough to choose from. And of all the houses they could have picked, they picked yours because they felt like there was a warm feeling. They loved the bedroom over here and what you did, the basement. As a matter of fact, I got to tell you, they wrote a letter to you. They asked me do you mind if I read the letter to you? It's really beautiful. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Hana, I heard the and you read the letters. Isn't it cute? Don't you just love it? And then you're going to now present your offer. In presenting the offer, you're going to tell the homeowners there's two things to look at. There's the price and the terms. And you include Mary, the listing. Am I right, Mary? When we're looking at a deal, we make sure that we look at price, we look at terms. Sometimes people just look at the price. Show me the money. That's wrong. Mary will tell you that you've got to, that in some cases, the terms are almost as important as the price. Because let's pretend you had a buyer who is giving you, full price, but yet they're putting down 2%. Their FICO score is 500. They have a house to sell that's overpriced. It'll never, like Mary will tell you, don't accept that offer. Even if the number was great, the terms are horrible because the buyer is horrible. Let me share with you the terms about these particular buyers. And then you talk about the large deposit, the pre-commitment, the desktop underwriting, the closing date, whenever you need it to be. They're buying it as is. And this is where you, gang, here's the concept with step 6, is you want the seller to say, wow, this sounds great. In other words, the focus is not on the price. The focus is on the terms, the package, the whole kit and caboodle. Like Mr. and Mrs. Hanahan, if you go to contract with these buyers, it's guaranteed pretty much you're going to go to closing with this. Mary, is this great, Mary? These are good buyers. Yeah, that's how you present this. Nobody can present your offer better than you, because you've got some skin in the game. You're fighting for your buyers. This is why I encourage you to try and present your own if you can. Then you present the price almost like an afterthought. By the way, here's what's happening in the market right now. Sellers are getting like 105% of their asking price. It's a crazy market, right, Mary? Oh, gee. But these buyers, they're offering not only more than you're asking, but they're offering you 110% of your asking price, which is actually 5% higher than the average in the market, which is pretty good. So to recap, these buyers, the positive are this, bada bing, bada boop. You get the signature, and then you party with your mask on. That is the 8-step process in presenting your own offer. Now let's talk about handling objections. And then I have a gift for you guys. Those of you that are guests, I have a gift for you, sir. So hang in there. And then we're going to open it. So we're going to do the gift, and then we're going to answer questions. So let's say you get a question that's like, will you cut your commission? Now, let me give you a long answer. You may have to rehearse and practice this and role play this with another agent, but it's really good. No. But thank you for asking. You can throw that in there. So that's the really long script. No. Reiterate. If they ask again, they push. They say, well, no, but you should. You only had it like 12 minutes. Hey, listen, this between you and the buyers. I'm not. And then here's the last one. If they're going to really push, if you're the listing agent and your seller's really pushing, you're going to pretend you're going to cut your commission. This is how you pretend. How much do you want me to cut my commission? They'll say, well, I want you to cut 1%. Okay. So let me see, 1%. So let me see what. So that comes out to 1% and 500,000. It's $5,000. So you want me to cut 5,000? And the seller says, yes, 5,000. Oh, geez, 5. And you're thinking, you're struggling. 5. Let me ask you, would you split the difference with me, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter? 2,500. If I can get you 2,500, like the homeowner thinks we're negotiating. The homeowner, all right, I'll accept 2,500. Then what you do is you get that specific dollar amount. You confirm that works. And then what you're going to do is you say, okay, I'm going to counter with the buyers another $2,500 because I ain't cut my commission. Why? Because when you hired me, we agreed what the commission was then. I'm not buying your house. We're not negotiating the commission. It's done. So that's how you pretend to cut your commission. You turn it into a counter offer with the buyers. We'll counter at this, the negotiating dance. This is a little complicated. And for power agents, I'm going to talk about it more on Monday's call if you have questions because we got a couple of minutes left. But the negotiating dance is this. You know how sometimes you always seem to be like a couple of $1,000s apart when you're talking to people? What you want to do is you want to go below or higher depending on who you're talking to. So if let's say the buyer is offering $500,000 and you say to the buyer, listen, all right, if you had to go to 525, would you do 525? Now, no, I'm not doing 525, but in their head, they'd be like maybe 510. And then the seller, when you're talking to the seller and the offer is 550, say if you had to go to 500, no, I'm not going to 500, but maybe 550. In other words, you do what if scenarios to bring people in between. So that's the negotiating dance. And power agents, we'll talk more about Monday. The offer is too low. Listen, you're probably not getting that in this market, but if you ever get that, say the offer is too low. Let me ask you something. Would you buy a house back right now for $500,000? The reason why I'm asking you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and I'd only talk this way if it was my seller. Would you buy your house for $500,000? Of course not, because you're selling it. Well, guess what? If you don't accept this offer, you just bought your house back for $500,000. Why? Because right now your house is sold for $500,000. It's sold. It's gone. $500,000. If you don't take this offer, you just bought your own house back for $500,000. That's a great one. Okay, here's the gift that I have for everybody. Those of you that are with us, the guests, and then we're going to open up to questions. I'm going to invite you to become a power agent for just $5 because you're going to get all these bonuses. You'll have complete access to the website. You're going to get bonuses we're going to give today. I'm going to show you what those bonuses are in just a second. If you decide after the trial to continue, it's a month to month for $47. You can cancel any time. So the membership's $47 a month. But you can kick it for $5 for 30 days. Every Monday we have coaching calls that are live. It's not like this webinar where I can't talk to you. Julie's going to read your questions in a minute. But on the Monday calls, it's a call. Like you can actually talk to me. You take yourself off mute. We can role play. We record those. One of our power agents, Sean, he said, I don't make a, I love how he starts off. I don't make a penny endorsing this program. I was very skeptical in the beginning. The $5 drew me in, but you cannot spend the better $47 a month being coached by a knowledgeable, ethical coach who works hard for you. I'm so boy, I sound wonderful, don't I? But it's really not just me. It's my entire team. They work so hard. There's webinars on demand. We have been recording these weekly training sessions every Wednesday since the pandemic. So if you do the math, there's over 50 trainings that you can watch on demand at any time. There is a closed Facebook group, which is incredible. There's a lot of great groups out there, but our group, what I notice is our power agents, there's nothing negative. Like sometimes those groups, they go sideways. It becomes political. There is a dedicated power agent website that literally has over 500 forms, flyers, checklists. It's an incredible amount. We have this power agent directory that power agents have been referring business back and forth to each other, which has been incredible. This is the dashboard of the website. Now, this is a screenshot. I can go live when we go to questions if you want. But if you go to Classroom and you click on that, there's all these topics that are alphabetical. Now, this is just some of the topics, buyers, the coaching calls. But let's say you needed help with farming and self-promotion, and you clicked on that. It's going to bring you to this page, which has all these newsletters, forms, flyers, checklists that you get to customize. And you can print them out locally. We added a favorite feature because there are so many great, incredible things on the site that you can, you say, well, I want to go back to that item later, and it saves it in a separate folder that's dedicated just to your account. We have similar search functions like that Google uses. So let's say you type in the word FSBO, it'll search the entire site, and you will find the FSBO dialogue, training on FSBOs, infographics for FSBOs, checklists for FSBOs, and so on and so forth. And then here's the special that we have for you guys. So if you're a guest, here's what you can get. When you sign up today, you're going to get a PowerPoint presentation for a listing appointment that's 103 slides, and you can customize it, along with a 90-minute training on how to deliver a listing appointment to or for a sale by owner, the 3-part breakthrough business plan, which you should be working on your business plan once a quarter. I think ours is the best in the industry because it's 43 pages that goes through how to generate now business, how to generate future business, and how to generate financial freedom. So there's 3 plans built into the one. If you're a new agent or experienced agent looking to restart your business, we gave you a starter's guide, how to get started and get some listings and business in the next 30 days. This is our top 12 dialogues that we put together, calling FSBOs expireds, voicemail for FSBOs, voicemail for expireds, etc. If you don't have a business page on Facebook, how to set that up. The e-guide that we talked about for the multiple offers, again, you can customize that. That multiple offer spreadsheet, there we give you that as well. Plus, there is the today's slides that you get, a recording of today's webinar. And if you need a CRM, you don't have one, we have what's called Power Builder, which is incredible. You can get access to that for free. Everything on the screen, that's the value. If you went to our website and you bought them privately, individually, that's what it would cost you. But you actually get that for $5. You can literally become a power agent today. It gets emailed to you. You download all that. You get to keep it. And then if during the 30-day trial you decide to cancel, you get to keep all that. So power agents, I would love your comments, not just your questions, but power agents, if there's anything that you love about the power program and you want to tell the guests that are on the webinar, please let them know what your favorite part about Power Program. That would be really useful and helpful, and I appreciate it. All right, so Julie, let's go to the questions. So what questions do we have?
Oh, we got a lot, so buckle up.
Okay.
What if multiple agents want to do the same thing, if they're making the same kind of offer?
If multiple agents are making the same offer or trying to present their own offer?
I think trying to present their own offer.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that until that happens. But because it's probably not going to happen. But if that were happen, if I were the listing agent, I would just schedule presentations, right? If I was worried that there was going to be a lot of agents wanting to present their own offers, as a listing agent, I would say all offers are going to be opened on Sunday at 6 p.m. So if you want to present your own offer, we're doing appointments on the hour. So from 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. And I tell the homeowner, buckle in, it's going to be a long night.
It's a long night.
All right.
Both Juan and Sandra want to know, how do you handle this with out-of-town owners?
You would do it on Zoom. You would do it in person that way.
Perfect. How do we, as buyer's agents, contact the seller directly? I thought we had to go through the listing agent.
Yeah, you do. You call the listing agent and you tell them, I like to present my own offer. So as I said it multiple times, you are not presenting without the listing agent. You are doing a uniform front. You're both going to the appointment, both talking to the homeowner at the same time. So you are not circumventing the listing agent.
Excellent. A lot of several agents are saying, what do you do when the listing agent won't even return your call?
Okay, so let me tell you how to do that one. Now, remember that gauge that I said, gang, about your comfort level? I'm just going to tell you what I would do. So you do me if you can do me or something less. When you have an agent who's not returning your calls and you have an offer, legally, what I'm telling you to do, you can do. After calling the agent, I would then call the broker and tell the broker, hey, listen, I have an offer that's going to expire in 4 hours. Your agent is not getting back to me. I also have it in the contract. I'm presenting the offer with the listing agent. So I need to get an appointment in the next 30 minutes because otherwise we're going to have a legal problem. Now, if the broker doesn't answer me or doesn't do it or something like that, then what I would do is I would go to the homeowner's house, knock on the door and say, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, hi, I'm Darryl Davis from Power Realty. I showed your house earlier today, remember? Yeah, it turns out that I have an offer right here and I'm having a really tough time. I can't present it to you because I got to do through your listing agent, but your listing agent is not calling me back and this thing expires in 4 hours. Can you please reach out to them and get them on the phone and see what's going on? That's what I would do. Now, am I going to upset the listing agent? Of course. I don't care. You want to know why? Because the listing agent's not doing their job. And it's agents like that give the rest of us a bad name. And I think we should hold each other accountable. That's what I think. Next question.
Well, on that note, it just came in, but what if the listing agent doesn't want to do this? It's unheard of. The listing just says, I don't have time for you. I'll just email it. So just what you said, right?
Yeah. So if you have a listing agent that says, I don't have time to have you present your offer. I got 15 offers. I don't need to do this, whatever. It's your choice how aggressive you want to be. If the listing agent doesn't want to and they're cocky about it and you are okay with just, all right, I guess, all right, here's my offer. I hope that it gets accepted. You can do that. You can keep doing that. Now, what you can do is do what I taught about. We'll try and build a relationship with that listing agent and sell the listing agent on the buyers and maybe have the listing agent read the letter to the buyer. Like treat the listing agent like a homeowner. Like sell the listing agent on your buyers, how great they are, So you can do that. I taught you that. I'm going to say it again. Teach the listing agent as if they're the seller. And try and do as much of what I gave you to win that listing agent over. That's one option. The other option is you be aggressive and say, I don't care that you don't want to do it. Legally, you have to do it. It's license law, which circumvents MLS rules and regs. It says it's contingent on me presenting. It don't matter. You don't want to. You don't have the time. You have to. Otherwise, you can lose your license. So why don't you call me back with an appointment because the offer expires in 4 hours. So you could do that. That's the aggressive, but so you decide. Next question, Julie.
Gut check, exactly. I can see why we would show an expired, but why would we show a pending?
Well, it depends on your. Listen, you're right. Listen, I'm not a fan of showing pendings because if a buyer wants that and the deal closes, then they don't get it, so they get disappointed. So I'm not a fan of doing pendings, showing pendings. But if your market inventory is super low, then that might be an option because sometimes the pendings, they do fall through. So it's not likely, but it's possible. So it's a suggestion. Depends on your market. I will say this. If you do show pendings, you got to prepare your buyers for that emotional, crap, we didn't get it. So next question, Julie.
So listing agent resists selling agent presenting, and the letter from the seller is provided outlining no selling agent allowed to present. How do you resolve it?
Once again, it doesn't matter if the agent says that you can't present the letter, because what the license, you have to see what license law says in your state, and I'm telling you what it says. But if here's what you could do, because I don't know every state, but I do know this part. Okay, let me back up. What you can do is call your licensing department in your state and ask them the scenario. If a listing agent puts on an MLS saying that there's no letters to be read to the seller, and a buyer puts an offer in, and the offer is subject to me reading the letter and me presenting it, legally, what happens? You can do that. I'm going to tell you legally. It doesn't matter what the listing agent says because we work for buyers and sellers. They are driving the bus. And if the buyer says that they have a letter and they want it read and they want it presented, the listing agent cannot prevent that without jeopardizing their license. They can't do it just because they don't want to, because they're afraid of something that's never going to happen. Because again, it is not against fair housing. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong.
I think that covers all the people so what if they say you can't do love letters? The seller says you can't do love letters. All right. If you include a love letter and a seller does not allow buyer agent presentation, how do you verify or even know that the seller presented your offer with the love letter?
Exactly.
You don't. And that's why you have to present it.
That's why you have to present it.
Would you recommend a buyer's agent hire an attorney, or an attorney is not necessary? I guess
that depends on your market. Like, I'm from New York, right? So, well, it's not in New York. That's another thing that's all twisted, right? Like on Long Island, New York, like, oh, agents can't write contracts and they have to use, buyers and sellers have to use attorneys. It's not true. It's what the culture is on Long Island. Because if you sell houses in upstate New York, it's the same license law. It's the same license. Albany and Rochester, same law, same license. They don't use attorneys. It's something that Long Islanders have been brainwashed that we have to use attorneys. Now, there is an advantage in some cases. There's a buffer, so that way the legal aspect, you're handing it over to an attorney. So if something goes sideways, you kind of got that buffer. But it's not necessary. So anyway, to answer your question, it depends on your market and what you want to do. The problem with having attorneys sometimes, it just happened to one of our power agents, Walter Florian. We were just talking about it. He sold the house for full price, and all of a sudden, this litigating attorney killed the deal. So sometimes attorneys, because they don't like that we make more money than them, they get all puffy about it and they kill deals. So you have to decide.
They get all puffy. I like that.
They get puffy. Yeah. Go on. Next question.
Will you discuss submitting offers on new construction properties when the builder is only accepting best and highest offers?
So it's a building.
A builder says you only bring your best and highest offer. Well, in this market, all your offers should be at best and highest, right? Very
good point, Julie. In this market, every offer should be your best and final. But that doesn't mean that, listen, if you bring an offer to a builder and the builder says, yeah, that's not good enough, it's not to say that he won't still counter or she won't still counter, and then you bring it back to you. So what the builder's trying to say is, I don't want to count. I'm willing to negotiate, but I don't want to negotiate with your worst offer. So give me your best, and then I'm going to still try and squeeze more money out of your buyers. That's essentially what's happening there, and that's fine. So
I can't wait to see some of our Houston agents trying to, say bada bing, get it rolling in with some New York expressions. I love it. How can we win with a FHA competing with a conventional loan?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Vanessa. If your buyers have an FHA, you'll have to focus on the other things that we talked about. Humanizing the buyers. The love letter will help. See, I'm going to tell you something. Some sellers, even in this hot market, if they had a choice between two buyers and everything's kind of equal, but maybe this buyer's got an FHA, this one's conventional. Yeah, I know the conventional is better. But if I like those buyers more because I can make a difference with them and, because of their background, see, that's why that whole love letter, Julie, I just have to say something. If a buyer writes a love letter and I accept their offer, if anybody would sue, it would be the other buyer that didn't get the offer, saying that they were discriminated because and actually even that scenario, discrimination is when you're rejecting people, not accepting people because of their family, because they have children, because of their gender identity. So if you accept somebody because of that, it's not against the fair housing. But anyway, I think
if you are a power agent, if you go to the webinars on demand, we did an actual hour plus with Andrew Russell. He's with RCG Mortgage, and we discuss a lot of that kind of technical loan questions. So if you're a power agent, go to that. And I suggest every power agent watch it. It was really informative.
That's in the webinar, Power Agents. That's in the webinars on demand of the. Let me actually go to the site while we're on that, Julie. You can read me the next question.
What time are the Monday calls?
Yeah, so the coaching calls are 11 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're a power, when you log into the Power Program website, you go to coaching calls. The phone number will be there. You can stick it in your calendar automatically. And then we actually record the calls too and put it on the website. Now, the calls are supposed to go an hour, but you'll see here, this one, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It went an hour and 54 minutes. The week before that, it was 2 hours. So the goal here is I sit at my desk and I field every question and I answer every question until all the questions are answered. So that's every Monday starting 11 o'clock Eastern time. Julie, let me just show the webinars on demand about the Andrew Russell. So gang, these are all the webinars that we have done since the pandemic, right?
Yeah, there's
so all of these. What's that?
You said 50. There's way more than 50.
There's way more than 50. Okay, I just was picking a year weekly. So you're right. I know there's more than 50, but there's at least 50. So these are put in date order. So Julie, I don't know why this date's not there, but and so things keep getting moved over. So this one here, for example, this is a really good webinar, by the way. It was last week on how to get more listings at higher commission. That was one of my favorite ones to do. How to get online leads without paying Zillow. But this is the one Julie was talking about, understanding how market changes affect your buyers and sellers. This is our mortgage expert, so Andrew Russell. That was an incredible webinar. I'm going to jump to two more here, how to become a listing machine in the spring. And then this one, people just love Catherine. We interviewed her. She's the #1 agent for Keller Williams in the whole entire state of Florida. And she's a power agent, and she just did a great job. And so we recommend you watch that one as well. Okay, next question, Julie.
What if sellers say they will want to wait and make a decision until after they see all offers?
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, when you're in front of the homeowners.
Oh.
If that's when that's happening, you can't make a homeowner do something they don't want to. So if you're asking that question because you presented the offer and they want to say, thanks for sharing, we want to hear all the other offers, then you should honor that. Say, well, listen, I really appreciate that you respected me the way you did. I want you to know I'm really committed to these buyers and helping them get this house. So if there's anything I can do that would help with that, please let me know. So that's it. So, when I tell you to be aggressive, I mean you be aggressive to give your buyers a fighting chance, but I don't want you to be a hard sell jerk.
Right.
If you've got a list, if you got somebody getting in the way of you doing your job, that's when you push back. But you have, can you see that on the screen? Power agents don't sell people. We serve people. We're committed to serving, coaching, and not closing. So I don't want you to be a hard sell jerk.
There you go. What is the best way, Darryl, to present an escalation clause?
Same thing. It depends on the numbers, right? So I think that for those of you who don't know, the escalation clause of another offer should come in. It's got to be a bona fide offer. I think you should clarify what a bona fide offer is, that the buyers actually present the desktop underwriting information, that they have a pre-commitment letter, they have more money put this. So I would define when the escalation clause gets kicked in based on the buyer, not like, hey, my brother's brother-in-law's friend's cousin wants to buy the house for $10,000 more than what you're in contract for. So it's got to be not just a bona fide offer, but a pre-qualified buyer. And so that's number. So define the offer. That's number one. Number two is how much the buyer would go up. Your buyer who's in contract, that's up to you. 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. There's no right answer to that. Next question.
If due to logistics, I can't present my own offer, can I write a letter to the listing agent with the background of my buyer in hopes of humanizing them that way? I've already established a rapport with the listing agent.
Yeah, Barbara, I think anything that you can do to really, here's the message I'm trying to convey to you all is that people, they're buying a home. I don't have to tell you, for some of you, this is how emotional this whole thing is for your buyers. And sometimes the listing agent could easily miss out on that distinction when they have so many multiple offers, and they want to do the right thing for their clients. So they're looking at the math. So what we want to have the listing agent, we want them to buy into our buyers, not just with their heads, but with their hearts. Their head is the numbers. Their heart is who the buyers are. So Barbara, anything you can do to get that listing agent to buy your buyers from that listing agent's heart is a good idea. Next question.
How do I present the offer with the seller? So we've got quite a few that says, what if the seller doesn't want a presentation?
Yeah, if the seller doesn't want a presentation, it's very unlikely that the seller doesn't want the presentation. It's very most likely the listing agent is saying the homeowner doesn't want it, and it's not true. So based on NAR Code of Ethics and based on license law, the listing agent would then have to get a letter from the seller stating that they are aware that you have an offer and the homeowner's choosing not to hear it because of the terms. The terms being that you have to present the offer directly to the homeowner. Now, let me ask you a question. How many homeowners are going to say, I don't want to hear an offer. I don't want to see a presentation. I don't care if they have 10 offers. Maybe your offer, number 11, is better than the other 10. There is no homeowner that would not sit and listen to an offer being presented to them, because that's what the listing agent's doing anyway. It's just that you're doing it because you represent the buyer and you can answer any of their questions. So to one more time, if the listing agent says to you the seller doesn't want to hear your presentation, then tell the listing agent they have to give you something in writing from the seller stating that fact. And you will find that that won't happen. Next question.
Wonderful. Where do we find the multi-offer spreadsheet?
Gang, when you go to Classroom and you go to negotiating. Now, Power Agents, I want to remind you, the website is in alphabetical order, right? So when you're in Classroom, you have buyers, you have farming and self-promotion, the listing appointment, negotiating offers, objection handling, prospecting. So when you think about what you need help with, like negotiating offers, when you click on that, you will see multiple offer tracking spreadsheet. That's where that is. Now, in this chapter, there's not as many forms and fires because it's negotiating skill, right? But when it comes to time management, for example, and you need help with something to stay focused, like here's the calendar for May is every month we create a calendar of activities for you. How to stay focused on building a listing inventory, the dot board, which is one of the famous things that power agents absolutely love. There are signs to help you in prospecting. So anyway, all of these things are customizable as well that need to be customized. But I will show you this one thing. I'm going off the question, and then I'll go back to the questions. Power agents, when it comes to prospecting, as you all know, my strength is FSBOs and expireds. The expired dialogue is in the prospecting. The voicemail for expireds is there. The FSBO dialogue for rent by owners, farming, FSBO voicemail, new listings in the area. These are all, this is incredible dialogue. So anyway, this is, Zillow estimates how to handle that objection. Well, Zillow says my house is worth more. Anyway, so that's the prospecting in the letters. There is so much great content in here. Now, next question, Julie. I'm sorry. I deviated off of this topic. Go back to
no, the question was about the multi-offer negotiation. You said that you could use that as a listing tool.
Yes, you could actually use that as a listing tool as well. Yes.
Great. There's a new letter from our board that requires sellers to sign confirming they received our offer if we include it with our written offer. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. So is that from Sue?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sue, so the board, because that's now part of the code. No. That's not backtrack. Yes. So Sue, if you submit the form and then the listing agent says, yes, I presented your offer to the homeowner. Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. But I don't want you to do that. All right, Sue, what I prefer you to do is present your own offer. But listen, you know why the MLSs and why NARs come up with, we need to have proof that the listing agent presented the offer is because you all know listing agents, some of them have not been presenting your offer, or they're presenting it bad, or they're all of a sudden they have their own buyer with the same price as yours. They cut their commission to make the deal. I don't have to tell you when some of the things some listing agents do are not ethical. This is why I'm showing you legally how you can present your own offer, and it's better for everybody. So next question.
Just had that on a coaching call that happened to an agent. Darryl, would you accept a buyer's agent saying that they want to talk to your sellers and have read them a love letter?
Hang on, Jewel. I didn't hear your question because I was launching. This is the multiple offer spreadsheet, gang. These are just samples numbers. So you can, I have to go into edit mode. So you can delete that and you punch in your own numbers. So, but what you can do, gang, is if you print this out, everything that we give you guys is customizable, right? So now I would print this out if I wanted to print it in color, and then I would use this on a listing appointment, put this in my listing conversation and show a homeowner. To me, this is a great listing idea. We didn't create it for that, but Julie just said, oh, that's an awesome idea. Okay, go ahead.
While you're sitting there, we had a question about where to find loanopoly. So that is in negotiating, and it's also in buyers. And there's a sellopoly, which is its seller's version partner in the sellers tab. So people love this. They get the little game pieces from Amazon, and they give that. So it just makes it fun.
So what you can do, gang, is what I was saying is mostly everything in the Power program is customizable. As you can see, I'm moving this out here. So if I wanted to put my name in there, and if let's say you didn't like the verbiage that we put here for pre-approval, watch what I can do. Bing, look, it's all gone. I can write my own verbiage. So because some of your states and some of your areas, they may have a little bit of different languaging or terminology or whatever. So we've made all of these things where you can customize it. I got to tell you something. The amount of work that we put into these pieces, there's over 500. You couldn't find a place at the membership price that we're doing. So this is really incredible assets for you guys. Now, what Julie was saying, that's the loanopoly. The sellopoly. So if I go into the listing appointment, there is So here, let's see, where is the sellopoly? There it is. Oh, there's something else too. We created a Spanish. We started converting stuff to Spanish. Actually, half of the 90% actually of here. This is the Spanish version of the sellopoly. But let me go to the English version of sellopoly. So this is what you would use on a listing appointment to show a homeowner that, hey, listen, selling your house, finding the buyer is only part of the process. You know, there's all this other stuff that we have to do, right? There's there's showing, there's negotiating, qualifying the buyers, inspection data. See, most FSBOs, they think selling the house is just putting it out there and getting offers. They don't realize there's so much more that we do as agents. So that's what the sellopoly does. Next question, Julie.
Love it. Can a listing terms be cash buyers only, no loans?
Sure. That's the best one. All cash buyer.
No, but everybody likes that one. Darryl, would you accept a buyer's agent saying they want to talk to your sellers and read them a love letter? So as a listing agent,
No. Oh, buyer's agent. I'm sorry.
Right.
Darryl,
so if you're a listing agent, would you let a buyer's agent do what you're saying they should do?
They have them read. Yeah, no, that's Charmaine. That's what I'm teaching you guys. Darryl, would you accept a buyer's agent saying they wanted to talk to your sellers and have them read the love letter? Sure. I said that already, Charmaine. That first of all, that's what I want you to do as a buyer's agent. Now, if you're a listing agent, when I was a listing agent, I encouraged agents to present their own offers. Why? Because it's better for the seller. It's more transparent. If the seller has a question about these buyers that I never met, I want the selling agent to be this to answer the question for my sellers. Of course. Now, I will say this, Charmaine. This is how I did it. I'm going to say this part. I would call the homeowner and say, hey, Mrs. Hanahana, it's Darryl. Hey, listen, great news. We got Charmaine has an offer on your house. Oh, that's great. How much is it? Well, I don't know because I told Charmaine I'd rather her present the whole package to you. I'm going to meet her before the appointment, but I want to set up the time where she can come present her own offer. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that way, if you have any questions, you can hear right from them. But here's what I want you to do, Mrs. Hanahana. When Charmaine is done presenting her offer, I want you to say to Charmaine, I'd like to talk to Darryl in private. And then you and I will get up off the kitchen table and go walk into the other room. And that's how I did it, Charmaine. I would tell my sellers to tell the selling agent, I want to talk to Darryl in private. And then in private, I would coach the homeowner what I think we should do. Because I don't want to get into a battle with the selling agent. I'm there to facilitate. I want to help the selling agent get their deal put together if it's a good deal for my clients. And I'll tell my client in the other room. Next question.
Nancy just signed up. Yay. Welcome, Nancy.
Congratulations, Nancy. Smart woman.
When you are in front of a seller, do you remind them of the acceptance deadline expiration date, or does that just happen in a respectful way?
When you're in front of the seller, do you remind them? Oh, no. Okay, Melanie. The acceptance. Okay, great question, Melanie. So let me rephrase that question for everybody to understand. When you're presenting the offer to the seller, do you tell the seller, hey, listen, I know you want to sleep on it, but this offer expires in 2 hours? How do you say that nicely? Well, Melanie, the expiration time is for you to present the offer, not to get it accepted or done. So use the expiration of your offer to motivate the listing agent to set that appointment for you to present tonight. That's where you use the expiration for the listing agent, not with the homeowner. Now, when you're in front with the homeowner, the conversation is not about the expiration date. It's about this. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, I totally appreciate that you want to sleep on it tonight, but I don't have to tell you right now. We have a bird in the hand. We have a buyer who's motivated. What John will tell you, John's the listing agent. John will tell you sometimes when a buyer doesn't get an answer before they go to sleep at night, their anxiety level gets so great they call the next morning when they wake up and they say, you know what, the house wasn't meant to be. I'm not going to buy it. Am I right, John? Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah, it's called buyer remorse. We don't want to lose a buyer. So right now we have this buyer You said you're asking this. They made this offer. It would only be in fairness to that buyer to show the respect. What number does work for you? Obviously, the number that I just presented to you on their behalf doesn't work for you. What number could you say yes to and not have to sleep on it? Because I know you've been sleeping on that number for weeks now. What is that number? And let's see if we can get the buyers to come up to that number. That's how you do it, hon. Okay?
That was good. Our escalation clause is an issue in NYSAR.
Okay, Vanessa. Escalation clauses and NYSAR. For those of you who don't know, NYSAR is the New York State Association of Realtors. Now, listen, I'm a New Yorker. I love the staff at NYSAR. I love the staff at NAR. But NYSAR, Vanessa, has nothing to do with your license law, period. So it doesn't matter whether NYSAR likes it or not. It's what's legal. And in New York, can you write a contract with an escalation clause? Absolutely, you can. So you should do that if it'll help get your buyers a house. Okay, don't worry about NYSAR. NYSAR is NYSAR, LIBOR, NAR. Our association is not a legal organization. It is a membership that you pay dues to, and they make recommendations, just like the do not call list. They tell you can't call people on the do not call list in the state of New York if they're a FSBO. It's wrong. Anyway, but that's another topic. Don't get me started. Yes, Julie.
Darryl, how do we create more buyer loyalty right now?
What you need to do is, who's asking that question?
Sarah.
Sarah. What you need to do to get buyer loyalty is you need to get buyers to sign the buyer agency agreement. Remember what I said in case you missed it. There are 3 pre-planned conversations that you should know. There's the listing appointment, there's presenting your offers, and then there's buyer agency conversation. So when you meet buyers for the first time, you need to go through with the buyers the 6-step buying process, which is right here. Flyer, 6-step buying process. You want to inform you a little bit about myself. The reason why I do that is it's an important decision. I want you to feel comfortable with me. Next, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. The reason why. Anyway, you do a 6-step. It's basically a listing appointment for buyers to have them hire you as their agent. That's how you get loyalty. Next question.
I love it. Because house prices are going so high and no guarantee of your offer accepted, buyers want to hold off. How do I handle that objection?
Hold off for what? For when the market goes up even more? Let me tell you, from what I've been reading, is because the price of wood and copper has gone up so much because of the war we had with the last administration and China and tariffs and the whole night, it's created a whole mess with building supplies. Building supplies cost a lot more money. Therefore, builders are doing less building. The reason why we have slow inventory is because there isn't we need new construction to keep fueling the industry. It's like a cycle. Like, you know how a tadpole turns into a frog, like that whole
tadpole.
What? A tadpole. Tadpole. Remember in high school, the tadpole shows you in a circle the life of a frog and how it grows, the larvae, and then the ding and the baba. The true is in real estate. You need the cycle is new construction. No new construction, no new houses. Buyers don't sell to move into the new house. And this is why we are where we are. So what's my point? My point is if a buyer wants to wait for what? For prices to go up even more? Because that's what's going to continue to happen. So what if prices continue to go up and interest rates go up? How's that look for you? So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you're committed to buying a house, then you should be committed to buying a house and go buy a house. And let's go buy a house. If you want to wait, it's going to cost you more. Well, the bubble may bust. Okay. And it may not. Here's what we know today. We know today, if you don't buy, it's going to be more tomorrow.
Thank you for that dialogue and that trip back to high school science class. Estella says, is it a good idea to offer a lower price than the actual selling price, but with bigger down payment on the offer letter?
I think buyers should be in it to win it. That's what I would do.
You don't lowball anything in this market.
Try to save a nickel, you lose a dime. Listen, if they have a large deposit, what if they did this? What if they had a large deposit and they had a high price? How do you think that would help their offer? Probably better their chances than if they did a high deposit and a lower offer. So I would go in, I would coach my buyers to listen. Right now, if you're committed to buying, you've looked at houses, this house, does it work for you? Do you want this to be your home? Are you willing to spend an extra $50 a month? Like whatever the payment is, that's the other thing, gang. You should focus your buyers to look at the monthly payment and not so much the price. Because the price, here's what might happen. Real estate prices may continue to go up. Then there may be a little bit of a correction. They could go back down. But long term, to quote Warren Buffett, who is a multi-billionaire, he said, if you buy real estate at low interest rates over a long period of time, real estate actually outperforms the stock market. And he made his billions on the stock market. So anyway, you don't think short term when you're buying a house. You're buying a home to create memories. You're going to be in it for 10 or 20 years. It doesn't matter if it goes up and it dips a little bit. What matters is month to month. See, watch this. This is a powerful distinction. I just came to me. Hang on. The price of the home is not going to mean anything after closing. It only is going to mean something when that seller sells again. And that could be 5, 10, 15 years from now. What does matter immediately is what their monthly payment is, because that's a 30-day concern, not a 5, 10, 15-year concern. So I would focus with the buyers and say, next month, your payment would be $5,000 versus $4,950. That extra $50, can you do that? Because then I say you will own this home. Can you do $5,000 a month? Yes, let's get it. That's how I would do it.
I've never heard you say it quite like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
an article. Julie, that's an article.
There's an article, yes. Denise, are you saying it's legally okay for the terms of listing can exclude buyers who are pre-approved for a mortgage? I think that goes back to, can you ask for cash only?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm not. So you're saying that, is it legally okay for terms of a listing can exclude? Oh, no. Can exclude buyers who are pre-approved for. Oh, Denise. Okay. Okay. Denise is saying something different. Is it legal to put on the listing agreement in the MLS remarks to exclude buyers if they're not pre-qualified? Yes, because financial ability to buy a property is not a discriminatory category at any level. So you can put that in there legally, but I wouldn't do that. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is because, in a hot market, when you start to become too arrogant and saying, well, you do not show your buyers if they don't have a pre-commitment and a blood sample and that they have their
sign over their firstborn.
Like what you're doing is killing off business, period. So I would not put barriers to listings. I put it out there, let whoever shows up, show up, and then see what happens from there. So that's my thought on that. Next question.
Do you know when we can start calling expireds?
Now.
Today.
So that must be a New Yorker.
He says as he scratches his head.
So whoever asked that question, tell me what state are you from? So we'll come back to that question. Go ahead. What's the next question?
Next question is, would you step away from the seller and call the buyer to discuss the counter from the seller? Would you step away from the seller?
Would you step away from the seller and call the buyer to discuss the counter? Yes, Renee, that's exactly what you do. Very good, darling. So what happens is that, yes, that's exactly what you do. So you're sitting there, you go through the 8-step process, you present your offer, the homeowner wants to counter with you right there. That's exactly what you do, Renee. You say, well, hang on, let me call my buyers and see what I can do. And then you go into the other room, you tell your buyers, here's the dealio, here's the counter, but, does that work for you? Yes, it does. You hang up, you come back, they agree to it. I'm just going to initial the change, sign it, yay! And then the buyer initials that check. That's exactly what you do, Renee. That's how you put deals together.
Renee's a male. He calls everyone darling, Renee.
I'm sorry, the H&R. I get yelled at, Renee, all the time because I say darling, dear. I'm sorry. I should have been born during the Rat Pack era.
Right. You were right. Holly is from New York.
Hala, you can absolutely 1,000% call expireds in New York and FSBOs during the state of emergency. NYSAR says that you shouldn't. There is no legal, they're totally wrong. I spoke to the attorney for NYSAR and I called him out on it. He was wrong and he never got back to me when I said, well, tell me where it says. Anyway, he just stopped ignoring me. Anyway,
so all of you that are saying that there's an extension and that it's not correct. But disclaimer, you have to do what your broker says to do. So
disclaimer is you do what your broker says to do. If your broker says do not call expireds or FSBOs that are on the do not call list or in a state of emergency, then don't. But the reason why it's wrong is because in New York, where it's a state of emergency, it says that you can't telemarket and cold call. That doesn't apply to FSBOs and expireds. FSBOs are not unsolicited. They're soliciting calls. Expireds, it's totally wrong. So please call FSBOs and expireds in New York. Please don't listen to NAR. You're ripping. You're losing money. It's bad advice and it's totally wrong. Next question.
Regarding the buyer agency agreement, how do I get past that the buyer is responsible to pay the commission?
Well, you don't get past that. You embrace it. You tell the buyer that, first of all, it shouldn't be worded that the buyer's paying the commission. Now, if it does, then you would just lighten it. You'd say, conceptually, because I'm representing you, the way they worded it is that you're paying the commission. You're not paying the commission. It's in the asking price. So that's where that exists. Now, but there needs to be an understanding that as your representative, there's a minimum amount that I need to get paid. My minimum amount is whatever it is. So if you say it's 2 or 3 or 1, whatever. So let's just say it's 3%. You would explain to a buyer, if by chance we should show a listing where the selling broker's commission is 2%, that extra percent you don't pay out of your pocket. We work it into the contract price. So you're still not paying it out of pocket, but I am getting paid that. So you just basically explain it to the buyer that you don't work for free, and this is how the numbers work.
Awesome. Kathy just joined. Very excited. And we're excited.
Welcome, Kathy. Yay, Power Agent Kathy.
Bell or something. Vanessa, is it a good idea to look for off-market properties for our buyers? How should we go about that?
Yeah, Vanessa, I said that earlier. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can do your MLS. The other one that I'm a real big fan of is Realtor Property Resource, RPR. And there's a way to search properties that are off-market, that are pending. So, your MLS, you could probably do a report. So things that were taken off the market or expired. So your MLS will have a report that you can pull.
Oh, and it's awesome. We have, in fact, agents are loving it. We have the I have a buyer only use if you do have a buyer. I have a buyer letter and the I have a buyer dialogue that are on the site, which is awesome.
Yes. I forgot the screen. I should have that screen up. Okay.
How about having the buyer on the phone while you're presenting the offer to the sellers?
No, don't. No. No, there still needs to be that separation. Listen, I would love to be, at a chef's table in a high-end restaurant and watch the chef prepare my dinner, but I don't need to know how he killed the dinner.
Oh,
right. So the buyer doesn't need to be that involved. So you just call them when you're ready to counter. Next question.
With recent changes in the prices of most everything increasing, my buyers are concerned that with cost of everything going up, house sales will slow down soon and there'll be fewer bidding wars. So some are now wanting to wait. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Sue, I would tell them, you're licensed by the state. You've been doing it for a while. And so you could argue, I think I would say this to a buyer. I say, this is one house that you're buying, and I've sell many over my career, and I wake up in the morning helping buyers and sellers and go to sleep thinking about them. So in other words, I'm really immersed in this all the time for the past several years. So between you and me, one might say that I might have a little bit more experience and knowledge about real estate than what you might have. And as much more knowledge as I have, I can't even tell you what's going to happen in the future. If I did, I'd probably be a multi-billionaire. Nobody knows what government program's going to come out, what's going to happen to inflation, what's going to happen to interest rates, what's going to happen to building supplies, building prices. My point is, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future, because this could happen. You could wait and prices are even go up another 10% and interest rates go up to deal with the increase in inflation. And now you're getting less house and paying more money. That could happen too. So if I were you, I would not take that gamble. As a matter of fact, I think it's more of a more likelihood that prices are going to go up and interest rates will go up than it is that prices are going to come down. So if you were going to gamble, that would be the wrong bet. But hey, it's up to you. If you want to wait, we can wait.
He says with a smile on his face. Sue says, thank you.
All right. What else do we got? Any other questions?
We did. I published it by accident. Do we have a buyer's presentation? You say that we have a listing presentation. Do we have a buyer's presentation? And we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So great. So I wouldn't tell you that you should have that if we didn't have it for you. Right. So there is
buyer's guide. It's so beautiful. The new buyer's guide.
Yeah. First of all, the 6-step buying process is the sheet that you would use for that when you meet a buyer to explain to them, here's how we work together. So step 1, I don't know if you can see it here. I'm not going to click on I'll click on it.
It's in your slides.
Well, here, I'll just, it isn't. You're right. It is in the slides in here. So this sheet is what you would show a buyer when you sit down with them for the first time. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, the first thing I want to do is inform you a little bit about myself. And the reason why I want to do that is because it's an important decision. And I think it's important that you feel comfortable with me. As a matter of fact, if you don't feel comfortable with me, please tell me, right? And then I'll go get you another agent. Sound fair? Okay, good. Now, assuming I pass the interview on step 1, step 2 is I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. The reason why I want to do that is to get a better picture in my mind, the type of house you're looking for. So is it okay if I ask you some questions later on? So anyway, I'm not going to teach this now. To answer your question, there is a webinar training on how to deliver this page. This is the presentation with the buyer agency. And there was a webinar I did on that, and there's slides that come with that. Let me see if I can show those slides. I'm going to do it a different way, Julie. I'm going to go here.
While you're doing that, I've had a lot of questions on how you get the slides. Slides will be available to power agents. You are going to get those. They'll be on the same page as your replay in the webinars on demand. Sarah will email you out that information as soon as that replay is ready.
So here's the webinar that I did. By the way, you all see my personal file folder system right now. So what you're looking at is my desk computer, and this is the webinar I did on how to deliver the buyer presentation. Right. So there is the concepts. There's handling the phone inquiry. There's texting to the buyers, breaking the ice with the buyers the first time you meet them. How to break the ice with them. Then there's the step 1. Now you'll notice. This is slide 59. This webinar training, power agents, that I did for you is all this stuff, how to handle the buyer up call when they first call you, how to text them, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then here's how to present to the buyer, step 1, and then what to do and how to present there. But where's the buyer agency agreement? Oh, then there's this. The next part is how to present buyer agency. I gave you some samples of buyer agency agreements and how to talk about it and present that. Anyway, this is an incredible training. This was an hour and a half that we created. Anyway, there's a recording, and these are the slides. So power agents, especially if you're a new power agent, here's what happens. When you get, let me go to webinars on demand. Hang in there one more second. So when you go to webinars on demand, and we find the buyer webinar. There's another easier way to find it, but let me see how to create buyer loyalty. There it is. So power agents, when you click on that buyer loyalty, There is the training video for it. And then there's the slides, which is these slides that I just showed you. So you download those. So you actually download the PowerPoint. So yeah, there's a tremendous amount of great content for you guys. That's just that one topic. Every one of those webinars, they come with a set of slides. There is over 1,000 pages of training that come with this. Plus there's so much. And listen, I can't, this is why we give you 30 days for $5, those of you are guests, because there's so much great stuff here. It's just, when you're in it, you're like amazed.
You can't get a cup of coffee for $5 at Starbucks. So, it's worth it. For one cup of coffee, you get 30 days of all of this, which is wonderful.
That's right, baby.
Which is important because we hear that pretty much every week. How do I get buyers to be loyal? Because
is there any power agents on the call? If there's any power agents, I would love to see your comments. Like, what do you like best about the program? So if you're a current power agent, if you could write on there, what do you like best about it? Whether it's the networking with other power agents, the Facebook page, the training, the coaching calls. I'd love to hear your comments. All right.
For those people who want to rejoin, how do they do that if they were a past power agent?
If you're a past power agent, the best way to do that, we didn't get that question today about calling us. So we have a chat function of real human beings that are there. So if you're somebody who wants to rejoin the program, you would just click on that bubble there and send a message saying, I'm a previous power agent, I'd like to rejoin. And because we have to circumvent the system to get you in there. So anyway.
Very cool. And yes, we feature live human beings on our calls. William says, great content going on showings.
Go get him, William. Go get him, buddy. Okay.
Awesome.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I think that's it. If you have questions for us, go to that darrylspeaks.com/trial. You can ask us any questions. We're there waiting for you if you need anything.
So here's what we're going to do is we're going to sign off now. You'll see that little floating bubble or floating thing that says full access, power, start my trial. It's that green thing. When we sign off this webinar, that button is going away. So please make sure that you click on that button now while I'm talking, because as soon as I stop talking, that bubble goes away. Really, $5, you can't beat it. I see all the power agents who are thanking us and commenting. You should post those, Julie, like Lorenzo, saying unbelievable information, training available for a price. Every time I go into tech tools and training, I find more useful information to use. Thank you so much, Lorenzo. Why don't we read these really quick, Julie, because we asked them to do this. So.
As a power agent, Laura says, as a power agent, enjoy the calls. The support in the library of resources is the best. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Barbara, as a power agent, it's hard to pick one reason for loving the system. One idea from Darryl is worth an annual investment. That's true. What's $5? It is.
That's a good point.
Dave says, Darryl, this is Power Agent Dave in Colorado. What I love about your program is I love your energy and your passion, and having access to your material for any real estate scenario at our fingertips is invaluable. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
So much information, my head spins, says Nancy.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thanks, Power Agents, for those comments. I really appreciate it. It makes us smile. I will tell you, when you guys comment, you write a review or you write something in Facebook, I tell you, we actually copy that. We have an internal system in our company. It's like an e-newsletter for all the staff, and we actually copy and paste it. So Power Agents, anytime you write something that's positive, it gets shared internally in my company because I have a wonderful team that we really care about helping our Power Agents design lives and careers worth smiling about. So we wake up in the morning thinking about you. And when we're going to bed, laying in bed, we're thinking about you. So anyway, so it means a lot to us when you comment. So thank you. All right, Jules. So that's it. All right. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Victoria. That's very great. Oh, there's some more coming in. We've got to just post those.
Tori says, thank you. She's sold. Renee says, as a power agent, I enjoy the plethora of material that you provided for us. And I appreciate that you use the word plethora there, Renee. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a big person, Julie and Camille, those are our two that, and Rachel as well, just creating so much content, great content for you guys. I'll say an idea, like I'll spew out something that we just did on this call that Julie's never heard me say before about how to deal with the counteroffer when you're at the table. And that's going to become now a blog article, and it's going to be more content for agents. And things come out of my mouth, and then my team creates.
And then we scramble to create something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a new dialogue. Oh, there's a new system. Oh, there's a new tool. Like, well, the multi-offer negotiation sheet that actually came out of a conversation. So
yeah, this
buyer agency, the tools like what I can't do for you as a buyer's agent, that came out of a coaching call, right? So so much comes out of our every week, agents tell us, oh, here's what's going on. And Mary says the instant help from your staff when I need it is amazing. We're happy to be there for you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, this spreadsheet came from a power agent who asked for this or said, did we have this? And then Gail, who is our director of customer experience for our power agents. I mean, Gail's always our frontline person for the power agent. And so she helped create this, and she listened to Andrew. I mean, it was just, wow, a lot of work just went into this one sheet. If you hired the number of man hours of people that we had just putting this stupid thing together, it would probably cost you $500 is what it took to produce just this one thing as an example.
Right. If you just got a quarter of a listing, you would pay for an entire year of this, this program. So not even a quarter when you consider what a commission is.
I'll tell you. Go ahead, Julie.
Irene says, I just signed up. She's excited. Irene in New Jersey. Welcome. We're excited to have you, Irene.
I don't want to say this because I'm afraid to say this because I don't want you all to think that this part of the program. But when we have a power agent who says, hey, do you guys have this thing? And if we don't have that thing, and then I say, holy, that's a great thing to have, we create that thing. So it's like you have a whole team of designers or marketing and training behind you committed to serving you and helping you. So
well, and like our one power agent said, if we think somebody's not even going to know how to use that thing, then we create a tech tool and training about how to use that thing.
Right.
Patricia says, what if you're injured? Would you suggest training right now?
Oh, Patricia, well, first of all, I'm sorry that if you're injured, I hope that you get a speedy recovery. I think perhaps the best time for you to get training is when you're injured. If you're laid up in bed or at home or something, this would be a time for you to work on your business, because part of our program is not just the listing and selling, but it's also managing your business like a business, having the good systems in place. So having your CRM, knowing your CRM, getting emailing, social media, all that stuff. So anyway, Patricia, I would absolutely, now's the best time for you.
Well, and a lot of power agents, they're on every Monday call, they're on every Wednesday training, but then they schedule an hour a week to watch past trainings. And that's so important. The more you know, the better you do.
Absolutely.
Marcia says, thank you. I most like the training program. I've learned so much from it. Well, we're excited you're here, Marcia. Thank you.
Oh, listen, I before you read the next thing, Julie, I forgot to mention there's 2 more letters here. So
the slides.
Yeah. So gang, the slide deck that you're getting, there's a couple other letters I just don't have time to read. So I put them at the end of the file, and there was something about the code of ethics there too. So just pay attention that, because I showed you 2 sample letters in the webinar, but there were 2 that I did not show you that are in there for you as well. Okay.
Excellent. Renee says, thank you for the Spanish version. That's huge. We're so excited to finally roll that out this year, Renee. And we've got some even more exciting things that we're going to be rolling out. So stick with us.
Oh yeah. We got some big surprises coming from power agents.
That's right.
With all this stuff. So we're going to probably raise the price. By the way, we didn't say this because we're probably going to raise the price at some point this year because we're coming out of the pandemic. Anybody that signs up, they're in their price. We're not like Netflix. Netflix, like they raise their price on their current members, which I thought stunk. But anyway, if you're a power agent, whatever price level you get in today, you're grandfathered in. You're locked in at that lower price. So we're going to probably raise the price coming up. And but right now you get it at that 47. Okay, go ahead, Julie.
Awesome sauce. Are questions submitted before Monday conference call? They can be, yes.
Yes, Irene, what I recommend that you do is when you go to, let's go to, let me close this first. The coaching calls, right? There is a button here that says, have a question for the call, submitted here. So there's a little button there that when you click on that, you can actually write your question. And then what happens on the Monday coaching call, we read these questions first. Now, if you can't be on the call, then I'll still answer it and it gets recorded so you can listen to it later. So this is a good process like during the week because it's Monday, right? So let's say you have a question Tuesday or Wednesday. Don't try and remember it. Fill out that form, get it to us. So that way when Monday comes around, it's already taken care of for you.
Oh, and step 2 to that as well is post your question in the Facebook group. Our power agents are so generous, especially with our new agents. You know, if you ask a question, how do I do this? Or does anybody have any experience with that? Everybody, you're getting answered from us, but you're also getting, you know, there's thousands of agents on the group that will jump in and say, okay, I do this. And here's call me, I'll help role play. I'll do, you know, I mean, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, well, actually what I should do is I should go this way. So let me show you, if I go to dashboard, or is it in the classroom? Let me close that. Facebook closed group. So if you're in the dashboard and you click Facebook group, it's going to bring you to the Power Agent page, and it's a closed group, right? So what Julie's talking about, hey, I have a fellow agent looking for a great agent in Orlando, Florida, who would like a referral. Send me your contact. Lynette, are you on the call? Because I'm going to show something to you. First of all, so this is not what I was going to show you. Gang, there is a directory that comes part of your membership. And one of the things we plan on launching this year is we want to make the Power Agent directory available to civilians to promote. If you're looking for an agent in real estate, it should be a Power Agent because we own the registered trademark to Power Agent. So only Power Agents can call themselves Power Agents. So anyway, there's a directory. And what you can do is, let's say you're looking for somebody in San Diego, California. There is Alex, and there's the areas that he serves, and there's his certifications. Oh, he also speaks Spanish. There's a little bit of bio, 5-star review, 18 years of real estate. It's pretty good. There's his website. I'll check it out. So anyway, Lynette, I mean, this is good. She posted this in the Facebook group, but we have a directory that Power Agents are actually getting referrals back and forth. But what I was going to say to what Julie just said, this video that you see on the screen right now, this is the Monday coaching call. Now, even though it's not a webinar, it's a live, like I talk to you, but we record it because we also do a feed to Facebook, and you'll see the comments. There's 86 comments. So sometimes a Power Agent will ask a question of me on the Monday coaching call, and then somebody will jump in and give other suggestions. So these Monday calls have become incredibly like brainstorming sessions for people. Go ahead, Julie.
Afatan is one of our Power Agents. I would like to try the CRM. Is the trial period free? Please let you know. Yes.
Yes, Afatan. So if you don't have a CRM, gang, we have this thing called the Power Builder. And you can get that for free for 30 days if you want to try that. It's logging me in right now. It's logging me into the demo. This CRM is pretty awesome because what it does is you set what your goals are for the year, and then it tells you what activities you should be doing and creates a task for you. It's pretty awesome. And then there's set and forget letters. And, one of the things that we did is you'll see it says Power Letter. So our CRM, any of the stuff that's on the website, we actually have it in the CRM too, so you don't have to import or rewrite it. But if you have your own CRM, you can just download the files and put it into your own CRM if you want. So,
and Afatan, if you are not currently a Power Builder member, if you click on that, it'll take you to a page which will explain what it is. And you can always use that little bubble there too to ask questions. What's really cool about Power Builder is that our CRM partners, they have a support system that is just phenomenal. Like they
Yes.
help you do all of that, right? They help you import all your information, and so they're just really fun. I know a lot of people get stalled in doing CRM because they're like, it's a lot of work, but they're really helpful. They really are awesome.
So I'm going to show like these letters, for example. These letters are in the Power Builder, the CRM. You see, it's all Spanish. I'm so proud of the Spanish. I can't speak a lick of Spanish, but I know there's some power agents that's their market, and that was important. So that's why we did it, and I'm so proud because it was so it was so expensive to do because we had to take we have over 500 forms. Every single one, we had somebody sit and translate.
Well, we had to find the right service, right? Because there's a lot of
find the right service. It was done by a human. It wasn't automated. It was a human being rewriting every single thing over again. But anyway, so this expired letter, so most of it's already translated. I think 90%. The other 10% are the new things we created in the past week because somebody asked us. But this letter here, this is a Word document, right? So what you can do is print this letter out, or you copy and paste it, or import it into your CRM. But if you don't have a CRM and use the Power Builder CRM, then this letter is already in the CRM for you as well. So there's another advantage. Okay. Next, is there any other questions?
Yes.
Oh, is there a cost for the CRM? Yes, there is, because the CRM. Oh, I have too many things open. It's my memory's going wackadoo here, Jules. So I'm afraid to let me start closing some things.
Do you want me to talk it through, or you got it?
No. I'm just going to start closing some stuff. So, Denise, the CRM is extra because it's the only thing that's extra, because a lot of power agents already have their own CRM. So we add it as an add-on. So if you don't have a CRM, then we contracted with a separate company called Exact Contact, and we had them write a special Power Builder CRM. So it's actually better than theirs that they have, because they built on top of theirs to give to our power agents.
Right. It's their content plus ours. So you actually get both. Exactly.
And that one has social media streaming, meaning what you can do is have automatic real estate posts sent out onto social media for you every single day if you want, or just 3 days a week, whatever you set it up. It's a set and forget. So all your social media, you can provide content. So there's that. There's the website that's included. There's the letters. It's $49 a month for that Power Builder. Now, you can get 30 days for $0 as well. So
and in our we have a webinar for power agents that are on the line that are interested in the CRM or still have questions. We actually did a webinar last week with Shannon from the CRM, where she explained the whole new social media, like all the new streaming items that they have. So that's in your webinars on demand as well. Will the Q&A section be on the replay? Yes, we upload the entire webinar from start to finish. So we started at noon, and whenever we end, you'll get all these questions as well. Sorry, it's Dennis, not Denise. Sorry, Dennis.
Oh, it's Dennis, not Denise. All right, Dennis. So we would never know now.
No, sometimes the big marker does that.
I know. I was trying to make a joke too. All right.
Can a market analysis be processed with the CRM?
Can a market analysis be processed with the CRM?
You got to use that RPR, man, and you can get to that. No.
To answer Avaton's question, Avaton, the Power Builder does not produce a CRM. I know that there are some. The CRM, the Power Builder, does not produce a market analysis. I do know that there are some companies in our industry that have a CRM, and you can do a lot of different things with it. But it's really not the CRM that's doing it. It's different add-on products. So our CRM, Power Builder, does not have that add-on. But Avaton what's better than any market analysis of any company is something you already have for free as a realtor. And that's called.
Oh, you froze, Darryl. RPR, Realtor Property Resource. Uh-oh. Darryl's doing the time warp. Darryl. Marcia says, how about other language? Should we going to translate in Chinese and Vietnamese language? We haven't gotten there yet. We want to get past the language that we are doing. But nothing's off the table right now. We're working on all kinds of neat things for you guys. I think we lost Darryl. I don't know if he's coming back in. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm here to answer any questions. If not, we're gonna rock and roll. Know that you can go to that darrylspeaks.com/trial. If you have any questions at all, you can use that little bubble there. You're welcome, Afton. But do use the Afton. You can actually get to RPR right there from the classroom. It is an incredible service. We also have a training on that in the Tech Tools and Training tab of the classroom. Thank you all. Any additional questions? Let me know. All right, I think that's it. Sarah, if you're still on the line, I don't know if Darryl's coming back with us. I think he lost his connection there. His connection got tired after all this time, right? All right, if anybody has any additional questions, hit that Start My Trial button. That'll take you to our site. If you have any questions, you can ask us there. We are there for you. We've got people standing by to answer any questions you might have. Oh, and I think Darryl's popping back on to say goodbye.
Julie, do you hear me?
I do now.
Okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened.
I don't know, but you sounded like Charlie's Brown teacher for a minute.
Okay, well, I'm back. I have no idea what happened. So, what were you just saying about the?
So I finished talking about RPR a little bit.
Yes.
That there's an RPR training in the classroom.
Yeah, I wanted to show everybody the RPR training, and then it just went wackadoo on me. So I'm going to show that really quick, and then we'll end the call because I think we did a marathon call here.
I think so too.
And so when you go to webinars, it's Tech Tools and Training.
I think it's webinars on demand as well, but Tech Tools and Training is where you're going to find all kind of coupons. Plus, you're going to get tech training on specific things like Canva and RPR and Box Brownie.
Well, can you see it on the screen?
I can.
So there is the Realtor Property Resource training that we did for you guys. There's a demo, the Power Builder. There's how to do Zoom, how to use PowerPoint, Box Brownie, like you said, Curbio in some of your states where that exists. My goodness, that is an off-the-hook awesome thing for fixing up properties without spending money up front because they take it at closing. And so anyway, that's under the Tech Tools and Training for you guys. And I can see from my screen that I think I've run out of memory for some reason. So anyway, so I think we're good. So we're going to wrap this up. I hope this was useful. I think we did a marathon webinar. It was supposed to be an hour, and we did 2 hours and 20 minutes. How do you like that? All right,
bada boom.
Bada boom, bada bing. So I hope this helped you. Those of you that are power agents, welcome. The new power agents and experienced power agents, start applying what you learned today. And let's be on the coaching call on Monday. That's where you can bring your questions. So that's really important what I'm saying. As you apply new stuff, like what I just taught you, you're going to have some questions. That's what Monday is there for. I'm there to help you work through those challenges. So if you haven't already clicked, click on that Start My Trial right now because we're going to close this out. So become Power Agent for $5, and I'll see you guys on Monday's coaching call. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Barbara. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks.